So the fundamental counting principle can also be used to solve problems that might be less obvious or where the tasks might be less obvious. In the next example, we're going to be looking for the number of distinguishable four-letter arrangements that can be formed from the word English. So that means that we're looking for four-letter words, four-letter words, 1, 2, 3, four-letter words, and we're going to choose our letters from the letters in the word English. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 letters available in the word English to choose from. So if we're trying to make a four-letter word in which all of the letters can be repeated, we can think about each of these four letters as a task. So this can be like task 1, task 2, task 3, task 4, where for each task, we have 7 options to choose from. So 7 different letters could be chosen in task 1, either E, N, G, L, I, S, H. Now, if the letters can be repeated, that means that for the second letter, I still have 7 to choose from. And for the third and for the fourth. Now, I can multiply same as before, A times B times C times D, etc. And I'll end up with 7 to the power of 4, or 2,401. In the following questions, we will have some restrictions put on how we can choose those letters. So in part B, I'm still looking for a four-letter word. But in this case, no letters can be repeated. So that means, for example, that if my first letter was E, for example, that means that the options for the second letter could be anything but E. So it could be N, G, L, I, S, H. So let's think about that one. For the first letter, nothing has been chosen yet. So for this first letter, I still have 7 possible options. Can be any of the letters in the word English. However, for the second letter, I'm now choosing from one less letter. So let's say that I arbitrarily say I ended up choosing G for the first letter. That means that I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 possibilities to select from for the second letter. And for the third, let's say I chose H, I now have 5 letters to choose from. And then lastly 4, and I could continue down 3, 2, 1 if I was making a longer word. So again, we multiply each stage and we end up with 840. In part C, the restriction is that no letters can be repeated. So that's similar to B. But in C, we're saying that the first letter has to be an E. So we can set up our 4 stages here. Now, if the first letter has to be an E, that means that out of all my letters, since only one of them is an E, there's only one way to have my first letter be E. So there's only one option for me. For the second letter, I now have 6 to choose from, right? The second letter can be anything except for E, so N, G, L, I, S, H. So I'm choosing from 6 possible options for the second letter, and then again 5 for the third, and 4 for the fourth. That gives me a total of 120. You may want to take a moment at this point to notice that the more restrictions that we place on these words, the fewer possibilities there are. So when we had no restrictions, when we said any letter could be repeated, we had 2,401 options. Now we're restricting the first letter, saying we can't repeat anything else, and we're down to 120 options. So the more restrictions you have, you tend to have less possibilities. Okay, let's try out the last one. So in the last one, we're still working with a 4-letter word. And in this last one, no letters can be repeated. So that's the same as the others. And the first and last letters, this should have an S, the first and last letters must be vowels. So looking at the word English, let's underline the vowels. E is a vowel and I is a vowel. In general, if you forget what a vowel is, A, E, I, O, U. So if the first letter must be a vowel, okay, so this guy has to be a vowel. How many possible vowels are there to go in this first stage? Well, it could be E or it could be I. So I have 2 options for this vowel. For the last vowel, since I've already selected one to go first, I'm left with only one possibility. So for example, if I picked from E and I, so from my 2 options, let's say I picked E to go first, that means that there would only be one vowel left, I, to go last. Okay, so that takes care of those vowels. Now, that 2 letters in the middle of the vowel sandwich must be consonants. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more possibilities to choose from. So that says that the second letter, I'm choosing from 5 possibilities. And then I have 1 less to choose from for the third. So 4. Multiply, and we get 40.